February 2nd, 2019, and this is George Webb. I'm a YouTube journalist here in Washington, D.C., and recently I've gotten a chance to get to know Roger Stone, and I interviewed him, and we've had a couple of interactions since then, and I just believe he's being framed, if you will, for this DNC hack and this Russia hoax with WikiLeaks. And I've gathered a lot of evidence in another case, in the Awan case, and also in the WikiLeaks case, and I'd like to present to you the evidence that shows that this is really an inside job. It's a takedown of Trump, and the DNC is also trying to take down WikiLeaks in the same stroke, again blaming their crimes on two individuals that are not involved, Trump and Stone. So I'd like to present that. Start with the basics, which is who had actual access to the DNC servers to steal the emails to begin with. If you're not familiar with Imran Awan here, an IT aide for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was convicted of bank fraud recently, he had actual access, and his group of Pakistanis on Capitol Hill actually were working in Pakistan for over 9 months a year in some cases, and had illegally logged into both the DCCC servers, the congressional servers, and the DNC servers over 5,100 times. So this would probably, for just starters, make him a much more likely candidate than Roger Stone and the Russians for hacking the DNC emails. The General of the House of Representatives actually outlined a host of nefarious activities, and she actually used that word nefarious. They were the Pakistani group of brothers named Awan were involved in several instances of questionable activity, not just the illegal logins to the congressional server, but they'd also had hundreds of suspicious money transfers to Pakistan, to a paramilitary police force in Punjab, Pakistan, that seemed to be relatives of the Awans, as well as they had illegally ordered equipment for the House of Representatives and had it sent directly to their home, which also went to Pakistan in a lot of cases. They also had ties on their Facebook page to terrorist groups, as well as groups that were receiving weapons, and there was ties in the family to the Pakistani intelligence service called Pakistani ISI, which is a part owner in the largest ordnance factory, the largest ammunition factory in Pakistan, called the Pakistani Ordnance Factory. So there was a lot of factors here that pointed toward nefarious activities. And again, Roger Stone, being a political operative, just wasn't in this world. I had a chance to actually go, and still to this date have produced the only witness to the case that's come forward and actually done an interview, a gentleman by the name of Andre Taggart, the Marine that you see in the upper right corner, and he actually produced or testified to the fact that the Awans had government-marked Blackberries, secure Blackberries, and also hard drives that were government marked that should not have left the House of Representatives, and that, of course, would be primary evidence in the case. So again, nothing like this has been found at Roger Stone's house, or at least we haven't had any information from the special counsel that would lead us to believe that there's anything that Roger Stone has that would be primary evidence to show that he was involved in any kind of hack or passing any kind of emails to WikiLeaks. I followed up the reporting yesterday by going to Roger Stone's trial, and at Roger's shoulder I asked him directly as he was walking out of the courtroom, did you act as a go-between to Julian Assange for Trump? Did you go to London? And he emphatically said no. I asked him that question specifically, and he very emphatically said no. So if he did not go to London, I doubt he would lie about that because of all the cameras and ticketing and the sign-in procedures at the Ecuadorian embassy. That means that the prosecution has to put a chain together of events, from Trump to some kind of intermediary like Paul Manafort, to maybe Roger Stone, and then to maybe another intermediary in London like a Ted Malloch, and then on to Julian Assange, which is a much more tenuous connection to the actual emails than Imran Awan, who we know has access to the emails, and we know has stolen equipment from the House of Representatives. Again, we have not had that information shared with us. It's been a cover-up by the special counsel in order to put this hoax forward. But I think the American people now have the right to know what actually was transferred to Pakistan and the totality of the Awan's hacking in the House of Representatives. Now, I just wanted to clarify that I am not saying that the Russians were not involved. Very much so, I'm saying that the Russians here pictured Konstantin Kilimnik, I believe is the particular Russian that was involved as the outside man in the Russia retreats. This one is the New York retreat that Obama sent the diplomats home after Christmas for hacking. And also there's a Maryland retreat that I've been to that we've identified as the place where the outside hackers were. There's no question that these folks were involved at some point, being the intermediaries. And there is a potential connection between Paul Manafort, who is the close associate of the person here pictured, Konstantin Kilimnik, and Roger Stone. Roger Stone obviously was in a Blackstone and Manafort firm here in Washington, D.C. in the 80s and early 90s, and does know Paul Manafort. But the chances are much better that during this campaign and the events leading up to this event over the last 10 years, much more closely are associated with John Podesta and Oleg Deripaska in the last 10 years leading up to these events. So while there is a distant connection to Paul Manafort, by Roger Stone, the connections over the last 10 years are much closer to John Podesta and point to the long history of this FBI Eurasian Crime Task Force using the Russian mafia figures like Oleg Deripaska and other operatives that you see here. This Khodorkovsky, who was a key right-hand man of Yeltsin, have used really over the last 20 years with British intelligence to set up different people and different types of sting operations and so forth. And I think this is just yet another operation that they're conducting to again hang the charges and hang the crimes of their group of Russian mafia operatives on an innocent third party who is coming in at the very end of the play and being blamed with all the crimes of the last 20 years.